What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a Wannabe's podcast, episode 2.
What's up?
Today we're going to be talking about just quarantine and just how we're going. Check up. It's my fault that we were late on this one, so I'm going to lead this one in.
It's all good.
How have you been doing, Jonah?
Dude, it's not it's not
What?
going all right, man. I'm gonna be honest, at first I was fine, like for a little while. And I was like I'm pretty introverted, so it was kinda easing into it. Everything was good, and I was having all this time to spend on music. Now it's real lonely.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I mean, like in the beginning, it kind of just felt like spring break, summer break, because that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, it was like a really
Yeah,
long break, like no school was pretty dope, and we didn't have or we didn't have like actual school for a while. So it was
Yeah, it was weird. It went from like being spring break and being able to hang out with our friends, and then once spring break ended, to not being able to like see anyone. You know what I mean? Or do
yeah.
really anything.
I didn't
It was
actually
weird.
write this down to talk about, but I am curious. What is your school like? What is it doing? Because mine sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I should say this. All right, so like for the first 3 weeks, I was on top of it, checked it every morning, woke up,
All
and
right.
then
Yep.
now for the last 3 weeks, I haven't even opened up my Chromebook. I
Yep.
keep seeing email notifications, and I'm so scared to check it at this point. But like something that kind of makes me mad about it is that it went from if you graduate or if you pass the third quarter, you pass the class, right? It
Yeah.
went from that to okay, we're gonna do pass or fail grades, right?
Yeah.
And now I hear that they're switching it back to GPA, which is I feel like that's not fair to like go in that order.
Mm.
You know what I mean? To go from like, all right, you guys are good to now you're not to
Yeah.
now you really have to focus. Like maybe the other way around would make sense. Going from like GPA
It's
to pass or fail, then to not caring you or to.
yeah. It's like a
But no,
downhill like progression from.
yeah, it's not. I don't think that's fair because you know I I don't know. I just feel like because like now what are all the people who just kind of like backed out and decided okay, well I passed, I'm good now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like now they're screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A lot of people
It's
didn't
just
keep up with it. Well, what I've heard from at least our school, I don't know if your school's the same, but it was like if you do the work, as long as you do it, no matter which like grades you get on it, you get your same grade from third quarter for fourth quarter. And I don't know if you
yeah. I
guys are
mean,
doing it the same way, but
it's weird. I feel like the communicate. I don't know if it's communication between the teachers is off, but it seems like no one, including the students and the staff, and even like the county has any idea really what's going on.
Yeah.
You know?
So my mom got an email saying that we were having like a subject every day, and it was supposed to be like math on Mondays and Wednesdays was history. And some of my
Not what
teachers
I heard.
follow that. My history is like she gives us all week, and then we have like something due every Monday. And then my math is like small things every day. And then my Spanish teacher is like super duper following this like regime they've given him. So like no teacher is on the same like path at
Yeah,
all.
and it's starting to confuse me because I can't tell if it's just teachers are saying stuff to get us to do work, which is like fair, but I want to know what the act like what we're actually supposed to be doing. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
and I feel like
It's like
I feel like to
like
a
it,
point the teachers have kind of they've all taken like different roles on it. So some people have probably like eased on it and like not really cared as much as they did from the beginning. And like I know AJ's teachers don't care as much. So I don't know.
you know, I just feel like I'm not blaming the teachers on anything, but I definitely feel like no one is on the same page, and that's like a big issue with like what's going on.
They're absolutely not.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be. I don't know anything that's going on with teachers really, but
And
I
I
feel like there needs to be like a meeting every week for like teachers and staff to talk and figure out what's going on. Because if that's happening right now, it doesn't seem like that's what's happening right
And
now.
see, I feel really bad for my Spanish teacher, the one that I said really cares about like the regime and everything, because he's all like we had this project that was supposed to be due in May, and like he's not giving us as much work as everyone else. At the beginning, he was like slamming us with work before it was even like required to give us work, and now
Yeah,
he's giving it to us once a week, and I finish it the day before because it's not that difficult. It's like 10 sentences, and but he's
yeah,
like always like apologizing and is like, I know you didn't get to this, don't worry about it, we're all going through this. Whereas my other teachers are like putting grades into, constantly putting grades in the grade book, and so like, man, I feel bad.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten any notifications from Power School on what my grades changing at all.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it seemed like a lot of teachers were just giving us notes and like, okay, here's like first week was mainly review. I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure that's probably how it was for
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
guys too. And then the second week was learning stuff, but it mainly was just like, okay, here's what we're going to be learning. Learn it at your own pace. Come back at the end of the week and learn everything at the end of the week and then we'll talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that made a lot of sense because that way people are still learning, but now, after that second week, everybody is, like I said, everybody is off the grid. Like nobody is in order anymore. So like every class is different, and that's making it hard for me at least. I can speak for myself to like actually want to do it. Like before there was a schedule
Hmm.
and there was a routine we were doing with like, okay, first week is review, next week learn this topic and then talk about it, and then the next week we're gonna do the same thing.
Hmm.
That is completely out the window. So now it's making it hard because I'm like, okay, well, I can work on this class, but I can't work on this one, and it's just making me not want to do it at all. And I know it's probably not a good thing, but and like we should work through that. But
Yeah.
it's I'm talking like looking at the perspective of other students. I know like it's harder for other students to stay involved with school if there's not like a routine or a schedule. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
It's
So
definitely harder
it's
for like a regime kind of thing. Cause like you wake up at 9, or you wake up at I woke up at 6 in the morning during school, and I'd drive
yeah,
to school and I'd get there and school starts at 8, and now I
yeah,
wake up at 10 and I'm out of bed by 11.
yeah. It's just it's weird. Like I know I don't like I said I haven't been keeping up with it, so I don't know like what it is now. But like when I was really keeping up with it, I had like a class at like 8 o'clock, and then I had a class I was at like 3 o'clock, and then I also had a class that was at like 10 sometimes. It just it doesn't make any sense, and
No. Do
you know
you do
and
like your class is like a Zoom meet every day? Is that how it
yeah,
was?
that's weird. Is like no, like when I was paying attention a lot, every teacher used something different, and everything we used, we always had issues with. That
Hmm.
sometimes we had some people on Zoom and some people on Classroom or Google Meet at like the same time. It was so weird. Okay, listen, I'm not gonna be this like weird gamer guy here, but I feel
Yeah.
like it's free and it's really easy to use. Discord, they should make it to where we should get Discord, and then like
Yeah.
think about like with the whole server system, we could just have a server. It could be like a class. You know what I mean?
They
And that would
literally,
make
yeah.
it so easy for teachers. And then do like the private. So how you can do private rooms like we have the podcast room that's
Hmm.
private. Make a class. Okay, so just Mr. Whitney server, right?
Yeah.
And for instance, my theater teacher, and then have three private rooms: first period, second period, fourth, or whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then and then when it's time, just move this. Have a general so everyone can talk. And then when it's time for the class to start, just move. Have the teachers move everyone from the general into that private class. That way they, you know what I mean?
That would be so much
you know,
easier.
it, yeah, and it's reliable. You know what I mean? And I feel like I've seen a lot of memes about it, like on the internet, or at least in the beginning, and a lot of people talking about it. It would make things so much easier. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
free. It's not a virus. It's a good like company. You know what I mean? A lot of people use
That's
it
what we're
at
using
least.
right now.
Yeah, exactly. So like I don't know why we aren't just doing that
I
because
I don't mean
it would make
to
this.
make fun of teachers, but I've had really funny experiences now with teachers trying to work like Zoom and Google Meet and stuff, and I feel bad, but like it's really
You
fun.
know,
And you're like four people show up too, and then there
yeah.
was one where it was like six of us, and we were just talking back and forth. It's like, oh, this cool stuff you got in your room, because our teacher couldn't get her thing to work. And then like her
Yeah.
husband's also a teacher, so he joined the call at one point and she left, and eventually there was no teacher in the call and we were just waiting for her to join again. It was so funny though.
Yeah, I feel like these, I don't know a lot about Zoom and Google Meet, but I feel like they're not built for 20 to 20, like 15 to 20 people classrooms. It's built for like, probably like five or six, like a group project. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
it's not made for an entire class, but yet an entire like school. You know what I
mhm,
mean? It needs, there needs to be something. I don't know. I wish that whether I don't know who's it up to, whether it's like the governor or like the
yeah.
principal or whatever. I wish like they would have gave a grace period like of a week, or they should have worked on it over our in quotations here spring break to figure out how we're gonna go forward. I feel like as soon as the spring
Mhm.
break ended, they were like, all right, let's just get started. They didn't like think about it at all. At least that's what it seems like, and I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is something easy to figure out because it's not. But I definitely feel like there could have been a better way for them to figure out what the hell to do. You know what I mean?
I feel like it just really sucks overall, and it sucks if we do have to like retake any classes for people that, you know,
Yeah, it's not fair because there's
it
people who were working hard and who are still, pushing through it
it's
today.
just a
You
lot
know what I
harder
mean?
for those, for people that don't understand internet. And I know a lot of people that are just like not tech savvy at all, and so they showed up to school and did all their work and tried really hard, and now they don't have any motivation to do so.
Like,
And like
like
if
for
they have to
instance,
get held back, that really sucks.
yeah, it's not fair.
And I don't want to blame like the teachers. Like I don't want to blame anyone because it's not anyone's fault at this, because
Yeah,
this is all the quarantine, and we have to do this to stay safe. But like still, it really sucks for a lot of students.
Yeah, for instance, like I'm gonna use my girlfriend as example.
Mm,
She's the type of person who, like, when there was an online assignment at school, she would be the one to go to the teacher and ask so she could write it down on paper and turn it in that way.
mm,
There's some people who just learn better on paper, physically, something in front of them. You know what I mean? Not
yeah,
like tech, like you said, not tech savvy. So now that we're being forced to be tech savvy, me, I'm good with tech stuff, so I'm fine. But I'm more worried about other people at our schools and other schools who aren't and who don't know what to do with that kind of crap. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's just I think this is another topic I wanted to, like, maybe we can segue into here, but this is our time to, like, everyone, like, I'm gonna go ahead and go broad here. Everyone in the world needs to learn how to unite and figure out what we need to do. You know what I mean?
hmm
Because this is weird. This is something that we haven't really had happen in, at least I
no,
know for a fact, in our lifetime, but it
yeah.
seems like in a while because not even our parents really know what to do. You know what I mean? So it hasn't really happened in their lifetime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and everyone's
And it
also, and this was another thing I wanted to talk about was everyone's also taking it at different levels. Cause like I know my parents aren't as worried about it, and they haven't been since the beginning, and they are really cautious, and we have tons of hand sanitizer around the house, and we're cautious about going out. Like we've done a lot of drive-through places. We went to Skyline Drive because it was free, and we just stayed in our car most of the time, you know.
yeah.
But like just to get out of the house. But we don't spend a lot of time. We don't like go to open places like often at all. And if we do, we're they're very careful. We go to the store and stuff like that. And then there's a lot of people like, and you mentioned your girlfriend. My girlfriend is been like homebound this entire time, and anytime
Yeah, no, me too.
she leaves with her stepdad, and they wear masks and gloves and stuff like that. And like,
That's another thing is, whether it's the government or, like, different the government and different news sites, we're all giving different information.
yeah,
Nobody, I feel like, we're not, I'm not, or we're all getting different, or we're all getting fed different ways to deal with this. You know what I mean?
hmm
Friend, you said hand sanitizer, and the thing is, hand sanitizer doesn't really do anything because this is like respiratory, right? I mean,
hmm
from what I've read, again, like, it could all be false, but from what I
yeah,
read, it's all respiratory. You know what I mean? Masks are what people need. The only reason people should be wearing gloves is so that when they get in the car, they can take it off and touch their face and not have to worry about it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, like, what I'm saying is, like, whether it's the government or these news sites or whoever needs to inform us, somebody needs to, get together and inform us on actually how to, like, fight this thing and how to be safe, because it seems like nobody's getting the same information, and a lot of information people are getting are either false or are just not correct. You
Yeah,
know what I
there's
mean?
a
I
lot
mean,
of
that's the same
crazy
thing, but
information out there, which makes it very
yeah,
hard because a lot of people don't know, and then they share that stuff, and then it goes
yeah,
around.
it's hard because it feels like the government or the news or whatever you want to say, people, we're not being told everything.
Mm.
And I get, that's a good way to, like, make people from stop panicking, but I feel like we need to panic so people know how serious this is. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
I've had friends, family members, like older family members, already pass away. This is
yeah. Same.
something serious. We may be safe, but other people aren't. So we have to be safe in order to keep them safe. You know
Yeah,
what
you
I
have to
mean?
take it
I
seriously.
know. I know. For me, I haven't really been leaving the house. I haven't want to. I've hung out with Devin like once or twice,
Yeah.
but I don't even like doing that because
Mm.
her family's not leaning at all, and they go out and stuff. But me, I stay in the house. I went from going to see my mom every other day to now I stay at my dad's house for 2 weeks, and then I go stay at my mom's for 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And the only time I ever leave the house is either to go pick up food for a family, or no, that's really it. Is to go pick up food. And every time I go out, I bring hand sanitizer, gloves, and a face mask. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I feel like people aren't taking it seriously. I see on Snapchat people going out and hanging out places,
Yeah,
parties. You know what I
I
mean?
saw someone's Snapchat
It's
story,
insane.
and they were at like a huge party, and I was like, "Are you kidding?"
What?
Like,
Yeah, you know what I mean. You're the problem. Like,
yeah,
seriously, like, I'm not gonna name any names, but, like, and I'm not blaming them because I'm sure that's just because they're not educated. You know what I mean? I'm sure
yeah,
there's some people who just don't give a fuck, but I'm sure a lot of people just don't understand how serious this is. You know what I mean?
yeah. Some people
You know,
just de-escalate it entirely and say that it's not. People are
it's a,
overreacting, but it's
it's not
really,
a big deal. That's how I was at the beginning, and then I had, like, my friend's aunt died and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's when it's like, seriously. My dad, he doesn't get scared over shit like this. Once I started to realize that he was getting scared and he was wearing masks at work and stuff,
yeah,
that's when I realized shit's getting serious. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
And it's it's scary. I think that in order for order to know that this is working, we need to come out of quarantine being like, okay, let me rephrase that. If we come out of quarantine and we're like, wow, that was a waste of a month or 2 months,
hmm
that means we did the right thing. And we come out and we're like, that was a waste, nothing bad happened. That's good. that means the quarantine did its job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're getting past that point. We're getting to the point to where when this thing ends, it's gonna be bad, and that it's becoming too late. People need to stay inside. It sucks that I feel like it's getting to the point right now to where something bad needs to happen to open people's eyes, and it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't,
Hmm.
because that's scary.
I'm
You know what I
also
mean?
I'm also scared that the people are starting to get to the point where it's almost been like 2 months that we've been in quarantine, and people are starting to get to like a breaking point. And a lot of people, like, there's sites that I've seen that have said like this is when this state is supposed to reach its peak, and like most states are going to reach their peak at some point in May, and then there's going to be a steady decrease until like over the summer, and we might go into the next school year. I don't know how it's going to go, but I mean, like, if people aren't spending time in their houses and they're like actually going out, I'm afraid like people are gonna have like a breaking point, like I gotta leave, and then they leave, and then they ruin it, and we gotta like it's gonna make it worse, and
Yeah,
it's gonna
I
take
mean,
a lot longer.
that's what happened here in Virginia already. We reached our peak like about three. I think I don't know exact times or whatever,
Yeah.
but our peak passed, and then the government and just people started to ease up a little bit, and now it's already rising back up. It's already rising back up to the peak. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
It's not skyrocketing, but it's still going right back up. We were steadily going down for a while, which is good. That's what Virginia needed. And then government. I don't know if it was the government actually, but just as people, I guess we started to ease up and like, all right, it's going down, we're good. And the
Hmm.
moment that we started to chill out a little bit, back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we need if we're gonna go through this, we need to wait until that drop goes all until it steadily goes down and then flatlines
Yeah.
for maybe a week, and then we're good. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or actually probably 2 weeks, because that's how long you realize until you have it or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like shit, man. Just like stay in the goddamn or stay in the gosh darn house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's it's simple. Or stay in the house or be safe if you have to go out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I think it's gonna really suck. I think what would really hit people is if like our school year again got canceled. I know a lot of colleges are already canceling, and some schools have canceled the rest of their year without any work, which is another thing that brought controversy. But like, I feel like if our school year got canceled again, or like the start of it got canceled, like first quarter, for example, like people would start to take it a little bit more seriously, and there would be a lot of people, because then it's like, oh, it's affecting me now. It's not just the longer summer, and so like I have reason to be mad now. And then some people would start to take more of a stand, and then I feel like this could either de-escalate really nicely,
Yeah.
or it could escalate really really quickly.
And what I'm saying is, like I said before, it needs to de-escalate like this. It needs to de-escalate, and people go, "Wow, we overreacted. That was useless." If that happens, then everything happened exactly as it needed to happen. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
And this kind of like reminds me of the whole thing that's going on with the movie theater right now. What they put up on the board.
yeah.
Look, I love that movie theater.
Hmm.
Okay, and I get what's going on, but that kind of pissed me off because if they put up on the board like, oh, listen, this is going to be controversial. If people actually listen to this and get mad at me, I don't care. But
Yeah, who cares?
like them doing that. That's kind of like, I hate to say it, like, it's like whining. It's like whining. It's like, oh no, we're going to close. Okay, listen, if you close, I guarantee people, when everything chills out, are gonna try to get you back open. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people care about
But
it.
like complaining to like the governor, like they did, to open up, oh, let us open up the movie theaters. You're making it worse.
It's
You know what I
ruining it.
mean?
Yeah.
Because now if they did that now, if that persuades the governor to open that theater back up, people are gonna go to the theater. People are gonna get sick again, and the whole thing is just gonna go straight back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's just gonna start
You
over,
know,
so it's not gonna help the
you,
theater in the end.
thing I don't know if they don't realize this, and maybe I'm just like ignorant to the whole thing. But if they do some for some reason to shut down,
Hmm.
the moment that we were allowed to go to the movie theater, the moment this whole thing quarantine's over, what the first thing people are gonna go do is they're gonna go to the goddamn movie theater. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So you're gonna be fine. Just close for right now. Shut down if you have to. You're fine. It sucks.
and
I know. You may be out of a job for a little bit, but hey, a lot of fucking people are.
and I
A
don't
lot of
know, I
people
don't
are.
know
You
what
know what
their
I mean?
plan is. Like most of the good movies have been pushed back anyway. Like,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
gone
Okay, yeah, let's
online.
open a theater and let's show, I don't know, Spider-Man 1 from back when
Yeah,
before I was
so
born.
show
No,
old
no, no, no
movies.
one's gonna. Yeah, I mean,
I've seen a
you know,
lot of things about movie theater decline. Like it's already been on a steady decline, but now all of this is gonna like shoot it down because of all the streaming services we have. Like things like the new Trolls movie and like Sonic and stuff like that went straight to, our TVs. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
and so like in the streaming services. So eventually it's gonna be like like an idea of like, okay, so like hear me out. Eventually, like in movie theaters, I feel like gonna be more of a nostalgic thing. Like, we went to the movie theaters as a kid, so we'll take our kids to the movie theaters.
I mean, that's
But
already how it
like
is. I feel like,
honestly,
you know what I
I
mean.
don't think it's gonna
You know,
become
and
because we
look,
can
I
get
wouldn't
them.
be
What?
mad if these movie theaters open up the website to where you can order these new movies online
Hmm.
for extra expensive. That way, they can like compensate for people, everyone going over to one person's house, even though buying one ticket.
Yeah.
Make that ticket expensive. I don't care. I get it. You have to make money. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But don't try to bait people into getting them to open it back up and risking getting more people sick. It's not safe. It's scary, and it's not the best thing to do.
Yeah, and
You
I
know,
don't I don't agree with it
listen.
opening back up, but like I think
I'm not sure. Go ahead.
I think I heard that AMC, like the biggest company in the
Yeah.
for movie theaters, is like close to bankruptcy, and so like I think it's gonna be weird when we get out of here. It's gonna be like completely different. I wonder what other things are gonna change like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, here, let me get my bearings what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I feel like, there's nothing good we can do, but there's better things we can do. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
not going to be, there's not a lot of options that are going to make everyone happy, but there are things that we can do that will make everyone safer. And
Mm.
I'm trying to think of the best way to word it, okay? There's again, like, I guess the only thing I really think of is there's nothing perfect we can do, but there is good things that we can do.
Yeah.
The things that will make it better, at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, opening back up the movie theater that's been here forever, right now is not that's not the best thing to do.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the safe thing to do. Keeping it closed, possibly risking it to shut down for right now, and then somehow, I don't care if it's a petition to open it back up. I'll donate it, to open it back up if this whole thing lasts 2 more months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the safest thing to do, and that's what we need to do. It may not be the best thing. I would love to go to the movie theater right now and watch the new Black Widow movie that should be open right now.
Yeah. I'm not
But
gonna say about that.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
But we can't. We can't. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's just that. Don't try to do something that we shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Whether
I
even
mean,
though just because it's gonna make you money. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
not safe.
They should focus on
Definitely.
the health and safety of the population of the people that are
Yeah,
coming to
yeah.
the movie theaters, and not
You know,
the.
how about don't make money now, that way you have customers later, instead of opening now and then killing all your customers so you
Yeah.
can't make money later. You know what I mean?
Honestly.
Maybe that's like over exaggerating a little bit, but it's the point is the same. You know,
Yeah.
if you keep them safe now, you're gonna have more people that are gonna come see movies than if you don't keep them safe.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
it's not just the movie theaters. That's just the big one that's happening right now. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
um, you know, to the owners of the people in the movie theater and the people that work there, I'm not mad at you or anything. I understand why you'd want to open up, and if you work there, why you want to go back to working. Money is money. You need it.
Yeah.
But I feel like our health is more important than our money right now, and that's what we need to focus on. So,
Yeah. I hope they
you know,
listen to
that,
this.
yeah, I hope. I mean,
This
no
is
one's
how we
going to,
feel.
but I hope they do. Yeah, it's just I'm just a 17-year-old kid, but I'm giving my opinion. So please pay attention to it at least. At
Yeah.
least consider it.
Now, I don't know if we can nicely segue into this, but since we're talking about movies, like the Netflix crazes that are going on, like the different shows that are like reaching number one in Netflix. Have you
Yeah.
been paying attention to that? Like Tiger
Yeah,
King?
I've seen. Yeah, I've seen.
Bro.
Yeah, I still haven't watched it. I don't watch a lot of Netflix, but yeah,
Ooh.
I've heard about it. I heard it's real good, and Netflix is booming right now.
Yeah, of course.
What I'm saying is that these movie theaters need to open up something like Netflix temporarily.
Mm.
Do it 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Streaming is going to be the future. Like that, everyone already knows that. You know what I mean? How many people are going on websites to watch new movies now instead of going to the theater? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Netflix is
Do
like,
something like that.
yeah, those streaming services are like everyone's best friend right now.
Yeah, it's not Royal Cinemas and chills, it's Netflix and chill, so,
Yeah.
adapt.
Yeah.
Right now this is something that, companies and us as people need to adapt to, so just do that. Don't try to force us back into the Stone Age.
I mean, there's
Again,
always
man.
there's always gonna be people that like want to go to the movie theaters. There's always gonna be people that like bring the girl on the date to a scary movie. Like I don't think they're ever gonna lose as a huge crowd.
Movie theaters are not going away for a long time. Quarantine is not going to kill them. I know that. I understand why people have suspicions and are worried about that. It's not. There's no way,
Mm.
dude. There's no way. I highly doubt it. You know what
Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll change. I don't know. I don't know. Like maybe they'll become something different. I've seen a thing that said instead of movie theaters becoming like they started out smaller, but they've been growing fewer in number, like overall, but like bigger. Like they can hold a
Yeah,
lot more people.
yeah. So things are gonna change, but don't be scared of it. It's normal. That's just that.
Yeah, it'll be
And
alright.
that goes for every company, not just movie theaters. That goes for Top Golf. That goes for fucking go kart places, whatever you want to say. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Just stay closed now, and we'll be fine in the future.
yeah.
It's as
Um,
simple as that.
yesterday my mom's been trying to find all these different things that we can go to that are safe and not many people that we can do so we can get out of the house as a family because we're driving each other crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you know I've been going to walk around and exploring the woods for God's sake. You
Hey,
know what I mean?
yeah,
You know, if you have to go do something like that, you know what I mean? Just stay away from people and minimize risks. That's it. That's it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Me and my dad, I know it may not count, but we went out and we worked. We worked at it. We went to his building and we worked there. And obviously, no one's there because it's closing down. But still, like
Hmm.
it's little things like that. Just stay away from people. Stay
Yeah.
away. Stay close to your family and stay away from other people. They're gonna drive you insane,
Hmm.
but just do it anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I go with my mom
Keep
to the her school because she's moving schools, so I go and help her like unpack her classroom and everything. We moved everything into the basement. And we're doing a lot of drive-through stuff. Yesterday, yesterday we went to a drive-through like zoo, and they
Oh
get
my
you
God.
open your windows and they gave you buckets of food and you get to feed the animals, and it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, we can, the big thing is just keeping ourselves busy,
Hmm.
but there are safe ways to keep ourselves busy, and that's just what people need to do,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, like,
I
you
use
can talk about things you've been doing. I know you've been, like, making music and focusing on that,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
I've been doing
Switch it
music.
up. Don't pick one thing, For me, like, for instance, past few days, all I've been doing is playing video games, and now it makes me feel like shit, because that's the only thing I'm doing.
Hmm.
I guess my tip to everyone would be right now, grab a notebook, grab a sticky note, grab a marker, find a mirror, whatever you have to do, right? And write down 3 or 4 things that you can do and rotate. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
For me, it's been like a combination of making videos. Okay, I'm gonna make the videos these days. Even though I had not been doing it, I need to get back on it. But make
yeah,
videos these days, or okay, play the video game this day, or this amount of hours. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Draw, paint. Devin, that was a big issue with my girlfriend. Was she didn't have anything to do, so she was like freaking out. You know what I mean?
hmm,
But now she's like got one of those coloring books. Draw. You know what I mean? Get
yeah,
better. Find something that you can get better at. You know what I mean? Learn. Listen to podcasts.
yeah,
Do research. Read. God, God forbid me say, read books if you have to. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Read your
Yeah.
Bible.
I mean, there you go. If you're Jonah, read your Bible. I know no
Whoa.
one else will, but if you're Jonah, read your Bible. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
No, but but seriously, like right now we're not in school. We're supposed to be learning. I bet 95% of us are not.
mm,
But find something to learn. You know what I mean? One thing we do have that's not being torn down by this whole quarantine thing is the internet. Some people may not have it, but some people
yeah,
have something that is similar. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Look up something on the internet for I know there's always people who like think stuff like, oh, I would love to be a dancer, but oh, maybe I can't do it. Now's your time to do it. People aren't around to see you. People aren't around for you to get embarrassed in front of. Learn to dance now.
yeah.
I'm gonna give a shout out to somebody I see on Snapchat all the time. I'm
Ooh,
not gonna say his username, but I'll say his name. His name's Moses.
hey,
All he's been doing recently is posting dancing videos. You know what I mean? And I never saw him really doing that much during the school year, but now he has time to. That's all he's doing, and I can see
yeah,
him getting better and better and better. Use Moses as an example. You know what I mean?
yeah. Be like
Split the
Moses.
sea. Find something you can do. He's getting better at something. Find something you can get better at. Just keep yourself busy.
Mm,
I don't know about you, Jonah, but like I'm the type of person who, if I'm just sitting at the house on my phone watching Netflix, scrolling through TikTok, Snapchat stories, memes, Instagram, whatever
yeah.
it is, if I'm just doing just that, I get sad, I get lonely. I feel like I'm not doing anything with my life,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
it makes
same.
me feel like shit. So do something with your life.
I
Um,
definitely go back and forth between days where like one day I wake up at like 11 and then I sit in bed and watch TV all day. Like and then it'd be like 5 or 6 and I realize how much time's gone by and then I get up and try to do something. And then there's other days where I wake up, I shower and I'm like on it. Like I'm doing tons of things all day and like I'll make an entire video in one day, you know. And I'm just trying
yeah,
to do as much as I can while I have this motivation, but like I don't know, it's back and
you
forth.
know, there's no school for a lot of people, there's no work. You have a lot of free time.
Yeah.
A lot of time, the reason why everybody wants to work out, everybody wants to get in shape, but the reason why some people can't do it is school. Okay, I have school, but I'm gonna balance working out. You work out 3 days in
Mhm.
a row, you do great, and then it's come that fourth day, you had exhausted day at school, so then you don't feel like working out. Well, guess what? There's no school. A lot of people aren't working. You have time to work out now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Liv's
Do
been
the
working out
thing.
every day.
I feel like there's a lot of people who would love to wake up early and go to bed on time, but there's they just can't because of everything going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But guess what? Now is the perfect time to teach yourself to get your sleep schedule and schedules. Or get your sleep schedule in check.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Now is the perfect time to learn to cook for people who make ramen all the time.
Ah,
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know,
Just
bro.
figure. I don't know, man. Just
Uh,
figure something out.
I mean, yeah, no, Liv's been working out every day. I wanted to work out. I go back and forth between routines. It's really hard for me to keep myself on a routine. Um,
Write something down. Do you have a calendar? I know you have a calendar somewhere. Get a
yeah.
calendar app on your phone. I have a planner. I have a little leather planner
Well, I
that I've
mean,
been
I've
using.
got plans. Like I've got, like set dates for things that need to come out, like music and videos and stuff. It's just,
Well, then don't. Well, Jonah, don't use them for just music anymore. Use them for planning your days out. You know.
yeah, I have those in my notes too, but working out is not on there. But then
Yeah, I
again,
mean,
you're talking about a lot of people that don't have a lot of work, and I have 3 AP tests this month, and
well, there you go. But you already got something to keep you busy, so you're
yeah, I've got
chilling.
tons
You
of
know what I
stuff
mean?
to like I'm always either really busy or
I'm
not busy at all.
more, yeah, I'm more talking about the people who are freaking out in their house because they have nothing to do.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I feel.
This morning, I didn't have anything to do this morning. I felt like crap. I was like, God, I'm not doing anything with my life. It's gonna go forever.
Hmm.
I got up, I went outside, I walked around in the woods, dude. It is weird and it's really hippie, but guess what? I was not bored. I will tell you that right now.
I mean, that
You know,
works.
uh, yeah. So just find something to do, y'all. We'll be fine. We'll get through it. Just stay the fuck inside, please,
I
God, as
feel
much as
like
you can.
I feel like you don't have any motivation when you're like sitting around, but then as soon as you get up and you'll
It's
like
momentum.
yeah, like I'll like get up and like look at my desk and I'm like, "Oh, those are the things I could have been working on right now." And then I'll go work on that for a little bit at least, That's
Yeah,
something.
there's this big inspirational speech, and I don't know like the specific details. I think it was a general talking about his troops, but what he always told them to do was, first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, make your bed. And what that
Yeah, I
does
feel
is,
that.
our brain naturally, if you complete a task, your brain's ready to complete another task. Boom, boom, boom.
Mhm.
So something as small as making toast in the morning. That's what I've been doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or wake up in the morning, make your bed. Your brain's already ready to do something next. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it can be the smallest thing, but tell yourself at least you completed something. You know what I mean?
That's how
Wake up in the morning, get out of bed. Oh, I just got out of bed and turn on the light. Boom, that's the first task I complete. What's next? What's next? Looks for something to do. Ooh, I'm gonna make my bed. Make your bed. Oh, yes, I just completed something. It sounds weird, but just seriously tell yourself that. After you make your bed, go hop in the shower. Boom, I just hopped in the shower, cleaned myself extra good, brushed my teeth, shaved. Boom, task completed. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's if you find things if you start that momentum of completing something, you're gonna be able to complete things for the rest of the day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's all about momentum, like you said, motivation. Like if sitting around doing nothing, you know, yeah, just sitting around doing nothing, it's not gonna motivate you. You're not picking up any momentum. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, I
You
feel.
just need.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you know that I have a journal I left at your house for like years now. It
still
says
there.
momentum on it. It literally, I bet you if you go grab it right now, it'll literally say
No,
momentum
it
across
does.
the
I
front.
remember.
Yep, I'm
Yeah.
telling you that's all. That's all it is.
Yeah.
We just need to find something as people to do. And
Sometimes
keep it
sometimes
up.
I find myself, and I think this is just a me thing, but maybe somebody else, I don't know, but sometimes I find myself like in the middle of something, or maybe I put headphones in while I was going to do something, and then I find myself back in my room and I'm like my mind's going to places, so I start pacing back and forth. Like I definitely do that a lot. And then sometimes I'm like singing along to the song or whatever, and then like after a while it'll be like an hour and I've been doing this and I don't realize it. And I think that's just a weird me thing. I'm not gonna lie, but sometimes
No, no, I
anywhere from
totally get
like
that.
but like anywhere from like dancing in the middle of my room to like talking to myself or talking to someone that's not there, because I totally do that all the time, especially now,
Yeah,
but like I did that before.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what that has to do with anything. Maybe it just flew over my head. Can you elaborate?
No, I just mean we were talking about getting off task.
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I do that shit all the time too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just it's hard. I have fucking ADHD. I mean, apparently I don't. I've been tested multiple times when
Really?
I was a child. Apparently, so apparently I don't. But I'm telling you right now, I fucking have ADHD. Okay,
Do you
but
have ADD?
dude. Okay, listen. If I have ADD, dude, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, not ADD. If I had
Me.
ADD, I probably would be sitting around all the time. I'm never sitting. I'm sitting down right now. Fuck. Okay, you get what I'm trying
Been
to
sitting
say.
for
I
30
definitely have
minutes.
the hyper. I
Yeah.
definitely have the
Yeah,
hyperactive
yeah,
part.
yeah.
Is what
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying.
feel.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard, but it doesn't mean it's impossible.
Yeah.
And that's that. So I don't know. I just feel like, I feel like just this quarantine is driving everyone insane. It's making me feel a lot more sad a lot, and that's fine. But
Hmm.
because don't ever feel like you're the only one who's feeling sad because we're all here. We're all in the same boat. We're all on the Titanic right now.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But we got to steer away from that iceberg. You know what I'm
I
saying?
feel like I feel like I always, you know how the Titanic ended, right?
Negative. I've never even seen the movie.
They didn't steer away from the iceberg.
Okay, well, listen,
So
we can,
okay,
okay?
all right, yeah.
Listen, yeah, in game, we'll go back in
Uh,
time, we'll make that new reality, we'll just skirt, okay?
right,
But,
yeah,
and, maybe that was a bad analogy,
yeah,
but what I'm saying is like, we're all in the same boat, but we control the boat. We're driving the boat. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. And you should definitely
You know,
set goals. And like as a creative person, I feel like we're both creative people. Like when I wanted to make a podcast, the first person I came to was you, and we were immediately throwing ideas back and forth. And like as a creative person, I feel like I lose my inspiration sometimes, but then other times I have like a set goal of things I want to do. So I'll go back and forth between like, you know, 3 days of just nonstop working on stuff and I'm dedicated and focused, and then like one day of just dead. Like I have no inspiration to do
yeah.
anything.
I think that's like burnout. Try not to burn yourself out.
Yeah.
That kind of goes back to finding multiple different things you can do. That way, if you start burning out on this thing or burning out playing Call of Duty all day, go play a different game. Maybe go
Yeah.
back to Fortnite. You know
Minecraft.
what I mean? If you have to. Exactly.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? If you're the type of person who likes playing video games, just that's fine. Do it.
Hmm.
But you're gonna get burned out from playing the same game all the time. Or you're gonna get burned out from making music 24/7, 3 days straight. You know what I mean?
I feel like you're calling me out.
No, I'm just using you as an example, okay? I'm
Yeah.
just using you as an example. For instance, I'm just gonna use you as an example here, Jonah. You
Uh,
make music 3 days straight, you're gonna get burned out. The fourth day, you're gonna feel like shit. So you know what you should do?
hmm.
Pull out your journal and start drawing shit. You know what I'm
I
saying?
do that
Yeah.
sometimes too.
So there you go. And I bet you there's times where you like draw 3 days in a row, and you're like, I'm gonna break this pencil in half and punch myself in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 We need to find multiple things that we
Hmm.
can do that way we can switch up and we don't get bored and we don't get burnt out on it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because maybe this won't make any sense. Maybe I'm just ranting here, but I feel like getting burnt out on one thing kind of disables you from wanting to do other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Kind of like we were saying. For instance, me making those videos every day for like a whole week. Come the next week, I was burnt out. So then that last day, I didn't want to do anything. But I bet you if I would have taken one day before to stop and do something else,
Hmm.
I would have been burnt out and I would have been able to work on something else. You know
I
what I mean?
feel. Yeah.
That's kind of something I'm struggling with right now. I want to do something, but I only have one thing I want to do: play video games. You know what I mean? So I need to find some other shit that I can do
Yeah.
to keep myself busy and so I don't get burnt out.
It's just weird. I mean, some people don't really have things to prioritize. Like I have school that I've got to think about, and I've got music that I think about. But I feel like not everybody has necessarily things to prioritize. So it's just going day after day, and like, what's this day gonna bring? I'm gonna go make lunch. I'm gonna watch TV a little bit. I'm gonna go for a walk. Like,
Yeah,
and you should.
you see, I agree with you, but I also disagree with you.
Hmm.
I feel like, yeah, there's some people who don't have things they need to prioritize, but there's always something you can find that you can prioritize. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not hard, it's not easy, but just find something that you can do. Find something
Hmm.
you can prioritize, something that you can make, something you need to do every day.
Yeah, the
You know what I
advice
mean?
I've seen going around is that you need to make a routine out of your day. Like a routine,
Yeah, dude.
especially for people that are trying to like keep up with schoolwork, is to keep a routine, is what I've been seeing.
Oh yeah,
And I have not done that.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I was doing it for a while in the beginning, but I stopped, and now things are getting shitty again.
I keep setting alarms
Um,
for like, like 7 or 8, and then I'll get up and I'll do shower and then I'll be a good day, and then the next day I just can't bear to get up at the alarm and I turn it off and I go back to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I've been, I had that issue a lot. Like, I feel like, maybe it's just me, like, overthinking, but I feel like I have that issue a lot more than other people.
Hmm.
So, like, I was looking into it, and a lot of things that I read were, like, one thing I read a bunch was, like, if you wake up and it's one of those days where, like, God, I don't want to turn off that alarm, and I don't want to get out of bed, literally count down from 5 and say on 1, you're going to get up. You know what I
I
mean?
used to do that. Yeah.
You may get to one, you still might not get up. Guess what? Count down from five again. If that doesn't work, count down from 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Eventually, after you're gonna be tired of fucking counting, you're gonna be a mathematician. You're gonna want to get the fuck up so you can stop goddamn counting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So try it. It sounds corny, but guess what? No one's around to make fun of you for it, so fucking do it anyways. You know
You
what I
do
mean?
whatever you
You
want.
know what I did for the first time?
Hmm.
I meditated.
Hey,
Oh
I've
my
meditated.
I meditated. I
How?
just simply I looked up simple meditation on YouTube. There was a 5 minute video. I did it, dude. God, it made me feel amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I literally felt stoned. It
Yeah.
was amazing.
Oh, okay.
I felt so relaxed, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
joking.
mean,
It was,
I've gotten apps before that like like help you meditate and like stuff like that, kind of
yeah,
like the video you were talking about. So, but that was like
yeah.
a while
Just
back.
try it. I mean, I got my cousin. Okay, let me set the stage here. Right?
All right.
I have a cousin. His
Okay.
name's I'm not gonna say his name. I have a cousin, okay,
What a stage.
and he's really like skeptic, hard headed, stubborn, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Told him about the meditation thing. He was like, "Bro, that sounds whack. I'm not gonna lie to you." I was like, "Okay, listen, give it one chance. Okay, do it with me one time." And 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 he was like, "All right, fine. I'll do it with you once. I'll do it with you once." So like I set it up, and I was like, "Wait, before we started, promise me you'll really just go full head into it. Like you'll actually like go along with it. You'll take it seriously." He was like, "All right, fine. I'll take it seriously."
Okay.
I was like, "Good," because that's like the only way. He
Yeah.
ended up doing it. And this is someone who like is like your normal kid who you think would
Yeah.
who thinks is weird. You know what I mean?
It's the cousin
And he
of
ended
Matt.
up like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he ended up throwing himself right into it, and he came out of it. And he was like, that was nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I challenge you guys to try things that you think are weird or different.
This
You know
is
what
your
I mean?
time to do it.
Yeah, now is your time to do it.
Yeah.
There's no one around to make fun of you for it except for yourself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So just go for it. Give it a chance. It's fun. It's lit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
If you're getting stressed out from schoolwork, your 3 AP tests coming up, you're getting stressed out. Okay, I need to get away from this. I need to get
Just,
away from
just don't
something
fucking
that.
do it.
Yeah, I know. just fuck off.
Yeah.
No, but if you're getting stressed out from like I said, schoolwork or something, going to do something else that involves your brain,
Mhm.
it's gonna hurt it fucking even more. You know what I
No,
mean?
I feel.
So do something that will like kind of shut off your brain a little bit.
Mhm.
Give it time to rest. You know what I mean?
Another thing is like,
Meditation's
and
a good
this
way to
might
do it.
sound weird, but like we were talking about like ways to start your day off and stuff is like getting dressed like as soon as you wake up. 'Cause I don't do that every day. I know I'm wearing the
Yeah,
pajamas from when I woke up this morning. Right now, I'll be honest with you.
that's weird because thinking about it, like I can't tell you how many days during quarantine I've got up and dressed nice, like I was going to school. But I feel like those days
Mhm.
always went well. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Even do something like now's your time to go through your closet. Make up a cool outfit. Wear it.
Yeah.
No one's gonna see it, but at least you will. Get ready for when school does finally pick up again. You can look fly as hell when you walk in.
Yes, sir.
I feel like how many days during school you're like, God, today's gonna be like shit, and then like you find a nice outfit, you go into school and that day's lit because it's definitely like a
Mhm.
self esteem thing I think to where it's like okay, I look good, so today's gonna be you have a good day because you're dressed good and you look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not necessarily a school thing. It's a quarantine thing too. If you dress up, you do your for girls who are like really into makeup and stuff, do your makeup. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Wake up in the morning, do your makeup, make it look really nice. Sure, maybe not a lot of other people are gonna see it, but you see it. That's gonna make you feel
Yeah.
better.
Get some
And if
pictures,
you feel
snaps.
better, you're gonna be happier. Yeah, take some snaps, post them on Instagram, do some in-house photo shoots, whatever you want to say. You know what I mean? If you can, if getting dressed up doing your makeup makes you feel good because you feel good you're going to be happier because you're happier you're going to be more motivated
Mhm.
because you're motivated you're going to make momentum full circle we're back
Full
there you get
circle.
what I'm saying? Yeah dude it's just
Circle of life. Yeah. So another thing, I feel like I'm overreacting to a lot of the simpler things. Like I feel like when you just like so much time alone will, do that and something like that makes you upset, makes you like really upset, or something makes you mad, makes you really
oh
mad.
yeah
And especially spending all this time, with your family and everything.
even alone spending all this time alone too
Yeah, well, I feel like I spent a lot of time alone beforehand. I mean, obviously I went to school and stuff, but
true
then
true
I,
me too
went straight to my room
yeah
as soon
no
as I got home.
it's weird because like I'm the same way like I spent a lot of time alone in my room like ignore sometimes a lot of them not even on FaceTime. Spend a lot of time alone
Yeah.
alone in my room.
Yeah.
And now this whole quarantine is happening. In the broad scheme of things, nothing's changed. I'm still alone in my room all the time, but it just feels different. You know what I mean? And maybe it's because I have to be in my room now. You know what I mean? something. We were talking about
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I feel like it
Sorry.
was something good too. I don't remember what it
Yeah,
was.
sorry. It cut out there for a bit. We're good now though.
Yeah,
Everything's
yeah,
fine.
we're chilling. Okay.
We're talking about overreacting, I think.
Yeah. We were talking about how back to what we were saying. I think it was, even though I spend my time alone a lot.
Yeah.
uh, it's the same now. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's the same now. So kind of like if you have to sit back and tell yourself that, do that. The only thing that's changed is that we have to be alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for the people who are usually alone in their room a lot, you're doing the same thing now. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I overreact a lot to a lot of small things. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I'm learning a lot about myself, spending so much time alone and with, you know, uh,
Yourself.
yeah, with me. You spend so much time with yourself. I mean, I read this thing that was like you talk to yourself more than you talk to anybody else, and like that was like
That's
super
true.
true. And I was like,
That
that's
is that
crazy.
is that's deep.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I spend a lot of time in my head, and I feel like it's kind of off topic, but I'm always making music, right? And I can never find like lyrics, and it's also because you can't really find inspiration, like spending time home all the time. But like I've found that all I need to do right now is write lyrics, and I have nothing.
You know, to that I would say, this kind of goes back to the Google. Do some research, read a podcast,
Yeah,
listen to
yeah.
books, or whatever you have to do. Something simple as that could give you inspiration. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Can't tell you how many times just driving down the road I popped in a podcast. I might not even really been listening to it, but it kind of gave me ideas on something to do.
yo,
You know what I mean?
yo.
Watch a movie you've never seen before.
Hey,
That might give you an idea for a song.
I've been doing that all the time, man. But
Yeah.
speaking of podcasts, though, I found this thing that I think you should really watch, and everyone listening should watch because it was like super cool, but it was also super like uh, really cool thing just to watch and listen to. It was this guy who did like a podcast kind of form show, and it was a TV show, and it was like 8 episodes, and basically he did a podcast with somebody that was uh, like somebody famous that like written books and stuff like that. He'd pick out somebody famous that knew a lot of things about death and had their own like spiritual beliefs
Cool.
and stuff, and then he animated the entire thing. So the show itself is actually really absurd, but while absurd things are happening to these characters, they're having this super like serious conversation. So it's like funny, but it's also like really serious, and they talk about their different ideas of death. And then you find out on the last episode, and this is kind of a spoiler. I don't have to say it if you don't want me to. I think you should watch it.
Go for it. Okay,
So,
I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
okay, okay,
I'll watch it then. I'll watch it.
yeah.
But yeah, what is it called?
Midnight Gospel,
What is it on?
Netflix.
Oh, Netflix. All right, so Netflix Midnight Gospel. I'll have to watch that.
It
But
is
yeah, so
lit.
so go. So everyone who's listening, go watch that because I'm definitely
It
going
is
to now because
pretty
that
lit.
sounds interesting. I can't tell you. Have you seen like you? Did you go through a phase where you saw like the Vanoss people on
Oh
YouTube
yeah.
and like just funny? Yeah. Do you ever seen how they had like those animated videos where they'll take one of their old videos and have like an animator just
Mhm.
animate to the audio of the
Yeah.
videos? Did you ever see
A
those?
lot of YouTubers do that, but I like it when they did it. Vanoss.
Yeah. So is it something like that, kind of almost like a podcast, but they animated it like that?
Yeah, like it's like they're having a really serious conversation, and like if you don't know what it is at first, you're like really confused. And I was like really confused why they were having this serious conversation. Well, because like the first episode, this guy is like on this planet where there's like a zombie apocalypse, and he's talking to the president, and like, but it's super weird. Like he's like it's total space stuff. It's really cool.
That's interesting. I'm
Um,
gonna check it out.
it blew my
That's
mind.
cool, though. I've always wanted to make videos like that. Like I was thinking about because the game I've been playing a lot recently
Mm.
is Fallout 76. Trash game, but it's super fun to play. It's really grindy right now. I've been playing, just grind leveling up the characters, and then
Yeah.
I want to start making videos on it. But there's a lot of the funny parts of my videos aren't necessarily stuff that we do in the game, but it's stuff we talk about.
Hmm.
So I thought like I wish I could get better at animating or find someone who's really good at it,
Hmm.
who is okay with offensive talk. And I wish I could have them. I would love to just like, for instance, just pretty much play. Just record audio of us playing and talking while we're just sitting there grinding, walking up and down a hill, getting XP.
Yeah.
But like have like some kind of animations or stuff going on, like to actually make the video interesting. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
See how I get that. And animation's cool, dude. I've been watching. I don't know if you've been getting these in your recommended, but I know I have like special effects videos where it's like special effect artists react to
For
bad versus good movie stuff. But I keep seeing
oh,
those in my recommended. I keep watching them, dude. They're so lit.
like movie special effects and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen anything like that. That's not. It's your film side
Well,
coming out.
Yeah, for some reason they just keep coming up my recommenders. So I just keep watching them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been really getting me into that, dude.
I mean, before I wanted to do music, I wanted to be like an animator, and like I bought this computer specifically
I
for
remember
that,
that.
and it's like a tablet computer, but it's like the one model that doesn't come with a pencil. Like there's no pencil to buy for it. So literally, it just like I threw my dreams away. Like it was so expensive and everything, and it was just like I lost it. But then I found music, so it was all good, and now it's like crazy music
Keep it
music
as a
setup.
side
But
hobby
like
though.
yeah, absolutely. I think when I get out of this, and I've been thinking about it a lot now that I'm in quarantine, is that as much as I love music, it's just like I've been hopping from creative process to creative process. Like that's why I feel like we've stuck together so strongly is because we're both like
Yeah,
really creatives, and like no matter what it is, like in total I've had like 3 YouTube channels over the span of my life, just creating different
I've
things
had
that
too
I've
many.
enjoyed doing. And like if I could mash all these things together, because like in the future I want to make music, but like I would love to work on like a documentary or something. I would love to. I love editing and film and stuff. Um, and I know that's more of your side of things too. But like just to work with people like that, and just to work with people
So
that
you
are,
can do it too.
yeah, I would love to. But just to work with like creatives and stuff, and just have fun with it and be able to create things and share it with a message and a purpose, Lord. Which like I feel like a lot of people um don't always have right now. I think it would be
Yeah.
really awesome to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I think I feel like to every like big career, somebody always has like a side hobby, and if
Mhm.
they don't, they should find it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So maybe yours could be music, and then your little side thing you could do. For instance, maybe if you feel like you're getting burnt out on music, could be like the animator, drawing, whatever
Yeah.
stuff like that. The film side, one thing like for instance, there's this photographer I follow a lot. His name is Peter McKinnon, I think,
Mm.
and his side hobby is leather work, stuff like that.
Ooh.
I mean, I thought it was a good idea for me because I really like leather stuff, and I took like a bunch of leather classes when I was doing 4-H.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, find something like that you can do for when music gets annoying because like I know it happens sometimes photography gets annoying,
Yeah.
especially since everything is so expensive. You know what I mean?
That's another thing I think about music is I wonder how because I spend so much of my time working on music by myself. Like even though I collaborate with people, when I do, like I collaborated with you before, and like you're probably the one that's known the most about the techniques and stuff that I was doing, in FL Studio and everything I was working on. But like most of the people, at least in the times that I've collaborated with them, didn't know that stuff, and so they were just kind of like, I was like, here, you can press play here, and then you start singing, and like that's kind of how it went sometimes. Um, and
Yeah,
like I'm afraid that I'm gonna get to a point where I'm meeting people that are actually my level or better than me, and I'm gonna really have to humble myself. You know what I mean? Like it's really gonna be a humbling experience, learning
yeah.
experience.
I think it's a good thing that me and you are kind of in the pot. Like I make music with you sometimes too, and
Yeah.
sometimes you do photography stuff on your own too. Whether it's having AJ take pictures for you, or you taking pictures yourself. I
Mm.
think that's good. That way, it's in a way, it almost seems like we're preparing ourselves for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think you should get discouraged by that. But there's always, one thing that's helped me because I used to get really jealous and just stuff like that, and just like, nah, I wasn't a very humble person, and one thing I started telling myself that helped that maybe you could apply or anybody listening to this can apply
Mm.
is what I like to tell myself, and it may sound like kind of sad at first, but it's not. Is there's always going to be someone better than you,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be someone who's worse than you. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Focus on you, and take inspiration from the bad
Mm.
people, take inspiration from the good people.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
there's like
There's always gonna be someone who doesn't like your music. Do you know? There's always gonna be people who fucking love your music and listen to
Phil,
it and
my grandma.
put it on their playlist. 100%.
Yes, sir.
And guess what? There's always gonna be songs your grandma likes that you make, and there's gonna be songs grandmas wish would or
Well,
there's gonna be songs
ooh,
that your grandma wish you would delete. You know what I mean?
nah.
There's gonna be podcasts your grandma wish you would delete.
Every
But
single one.
every single
Yeah.
fucking one that I'm on, which is every single one.
Nah.
No, but
It's like, why'd you have to make it
yeah.
with that
So
kid?
why can't you make it with
No,
that
my grandma
vulgar
loves you.
ass kid? I don't know how your family loves me so much. I'm so bad.
They don't know that
Anyways,
side of you.
they fucking know it. There's no way your mom does not know it by now.
You gotta
I
real
know
my
you've told stories about me behind my back. I know if you haven't, AJ fucking has with his big mouth. And I love the kid, but I know he likes to tell stories, my
Hey,
friend.
but
So
you know that AJ is the same way though,
exactly.
and like,
So
yeah,
that made me open up a little bit more because I was like, oh, you're so wild kids in your family. Now I can be wild and not have you scared.
you gotta
You know what
realize
I
my
mean?
family's like wild. I'm the only one that's not. Like, people
I
think
know
that
it's
my
weird.
family's like me, They're not.
Yeah, they're not. They're not. I mean, like they're white and like you're.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. Dude,
It's
two
exactly what I
podcasts in
meant.
a row.
Yeah, I'm fucking tired already. But guess what? We need to bang it out. If not today, we're gonna have to do it this
No,
week
I meant
because
this is the second podcast that you've like almost died laughing.
I wasn't even laughing. I kind of like tried to make a fake laugh and then I actually fucking died almost. But
I think
it's fine.
it's fine.
It's
It's cool.
okay. It's
It's yeah.
absolutely okay.
Yeah.
Um, you know what's something that I really want to get into?
Hmm.
It's mycology. You know what that is?
Wait, what is it?
Mycology.
Mycology? No.
It's the study of mushrooms. I know that sounds bad,
Uh.
okay, but like
Okay.
I was okay. So like apparently like I mean not apparently there's like this big problem with bees right now. Have you heard about that?
Big problem?
Bees are dying.
Yeah.
Bees are dying everywhere. They're disappearing. It's like sure it's just a bee, but it makes it's a big deal.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Because a lot I've been doing this is another thing of like useless research that I've been doing and knowledge that I've been trying to acquire is like bees. You think about you gotta think about it this way almonds for instance, right? That's the subject or that's the example I hear all the time. Every single almond you eat has been touched by at least one bee, usually three.
Okay.
Think about that for a second. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? What happens if there's not enough bees to touch that almond? Guess what? You're not gonna fucking get an almond. You know what I mean? And that goes for other plants too.
Yeah.
Bees are disappearing from some kind of like disease that they're getting, a parasite that like bees are naturally becoming infected with all the time now.
That's
By
rough.
the way, it's our fault. Who would have fucking thought?
Yeah.
But it's like bees like it's a disease that eats their wings, pretty much.
Ah, that sucks.
What I've been reading is don't worry, it's gonna get to mushrooms. I'll explain,
Mm.
but just stick for the ride for a second, okay?
Yeah.
Um, but then so usually bees live for like 30 days, right?
Mm.
They're born, they grow up a little bit, I think, and then they come out. They pollinate for 7 days. They go back in the hive, and they make the honey and stuff, and then they die. That's the bee's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pollinate for 7 days, go back to the hive for around 30, and pass away. But that's their job. That's what they do. Makes our plants, makes our food for us. They're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now with this whole disease thing's going around, in 1 year, it went from the pollination period of every bee to be average around 7 days to now 4 days, and then living only 17 days after that.
Wow.
It's becoming a big deal. But we figured out that there's this mushroom that, you know, the little droplets that come off the mushroom, like the water droplets or whatever. I think,
Mhm.
if you somehow can like, if the bees get to that right, it doubles the pollination period and doubles their lifespan. So,
Ooh.
there's a lot of things about mushrooms I didn't know. Like, did you know? Do you know what the largest organism on planet is?
What?
There's a mushroom system it's a mushroom neural system that I believe is in, I want to say Brazil, but I'm
Mm.
not sure. So don't quote me on that. You have to look it up.
Yeah.
But it's, and, technically it's all one big mushroom and all the mushrooms on the surface are connected by a big mushroom underneath. And just guess how big it is.
I don't know. Couple like what?
23 acres.
Wow. All right.
23, the biggest living organism is a mushroom that's 23 acres
I
big.
wasn't even close. That's
Yeah, yeah, it's there's some cool shit with mushrooms. You know what I mean?
yeah.
There's certain mushrooms that are known. I didn't know this until I started doing research on this crap.
Mhm.
Right? Did you know that if you believe in evolution, right?
Right.
Or just like I kind of believe in a mixture of evolution and Christianity. You know what I mean? I think there's
Well, I
like
don't
certain
think. Yeah,
things
I
that
think they
are.
coexist. I don't think they're.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I think too. So, did you know that we actually evolved from mushrooms
Oh.
or fungi? Fungi. We came from fungus first.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I never knew that.
Huh.
But yeah, we're actually closer to mushrooms than plants, than other animals. Humans are closer to mushrooms than other animals, isn't it? I thought like it was insane,
Huh.
and that explains why there's like these mushrooms that, and I'm not just talking about the psychedelic shroom mushrooms,
Right.
right? Like other mushrooms
Mhm.
that when you eat them, they actually, the broken parts, like the wires, the neural wires in our brain that are broke from whatever head trauma. When you're born with them not connected, that's why certain mushrooms you eat, they actually connect and rewire those things together. So, story about a guy named Paul Stanton, I think is his
Paul
name.
Stan.
He Paul Stanton,
Paul
I
Stan.
think is his name. He's a big mycologist, but he had a really bad stutter growing up, right? Like
Mm.
so bad that he literally, some days he couldn't get out one sentence. He couldn't get out one full sentence. That's how bad it was. He there was one day he ate a bunch of these mushrooms, and it completely rewired his brain. And then, the next day he comes in and he spoke this first, like one of his first like full sentences, and after that he never really studied again or stuttered again. And he talks about how the only time he really stutters now is when he gets nervous, and when he's drunk and he gets nervous,
Yeah.
because the alcohol, like, can unwire your brain, it damages your brain. But yeah, there's studies going on right now because shrooms are slowly starting to become legal around
Yeah.
the country
Hmm.
and the world. There's a bunch of colleges that are allowed to use them now for studies and stuff, which I think is really good. They're doing these things called microdosing, where for the mushrooms that get you high,
Hmm.
psilocybin mushrooms, right?
Hmm.
They're actually more potent if you take them in microdoses. And microdoses, they won't get you high, but they're still more potent. So they've been doing studies where if you take a little, like 1/10 of a gram, for instance, you're not going to get high off 1/10 of a gram. You're not even going to feel it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But still, you take these microdoses every day, and it's rewiring brain. It's curing dementia. It's curing Alzheimer's. There's people who have done Alzheimer's, and it completely cured it. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
crazy.
Addiction too. I've heard stories and studies about people who are addicted to steroids and heroin. They and this time they took psychoactive, the ones that make you trip balls, right?
Right.
There's a study of somebody who was addicted to heroin and steroids, right?
Mm.
He took a large dose of the psilocybin, the ones that make you trip balls,
Mm.
right? And after that, he never did heroin again. He never did. He took it once, never did heroin again, never did steroids again, and didn't withdraw from it at all, not one day.
That's crazy.
It blows my mind. So, like, there's other little stuff like that. There's like one's called, it's a lion mane. Again, doesn't get you high, but if you eat them every day, it's known to heighten your senses and rewire your brain.
Yeah.
There's a old guy who was deaf, and he started taking the lion's mane one, and while he was taking these doses every day, like small ones that weren't getting you high, lion's mane don't get you high, right? Um, took him every day. He started to be able to hear again. It's crazy how stuff works like that. So I'm glad
That
that
is whack.
you know yeah, I'm glad that they're being allowed to do studies on it,
Uh-huh.
because this is natural. It's something that grows on the earth. Something that people, soon we should be able to buy from stores. So it's like a medicine, natural medicine, and there's like
Hmm.
a lot of stuff that like got covered up by like apparently Nixon. I don't want to go into the politics on it because
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
going
know a
down a
lot about
rabbit
it.
hole.
Yeah, but I hope that. But yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
mushrooms. I think they're cool. There's a lot of cool things I never knew about them. So
Yeah, I didn't know any of those
that's
things
something I
about
want to get into.
mushrooms.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll send you some podcasts you can listen to like after we're
Yeah.
done with this.
Is
But
that where you heard
it's
it
pretty cool.
from like podcasts and stuff?
Podcasts, and I went on some uh, university websites.
Hmm.
Because like I heard him on podcast, and I'm like, okay, well this guy could be a fucking loony, so let me do my own research. .gov.edu, you know how it goes,
Right.
and yeah, it turns out a lot of this shit is legit. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is real legit, so it's pretty cool. It's
Hmm.
pretty cool.
That's crazy, yo.
Yeah, dude. You have to look into it. It's pretty sick. It's pretty sick.
Yeah. I don't think I have any. I like just random fun facts. I don't think I have any like thing I've
Hey,
really
the
gone
beast
deep
thing was
in.
kind of a fun fact.
I mean, yeah, that's a fun fact. I didn't know that. I didn't
Yeah,
know the
that's
mushroom
pretty.
thing.
That's pretty cool.
You're
Yeah,
just dropping
dude.
fun facts in here.
Dude, I love fun facts. I be
I
listening to this
like
shit all the
learning.
time.
I like learning about people. And like
Oh, like psychology, how people
psychology,
think.
and also like
Oh
history,
yeah.
like things that we've been through that were like covered up and stuff like that. I watch a lot of like
Oh yeah. 100%. Like history this year for me has been awesome. Like class.
yeah.
There's so many things I didn't know. Like, did you know that Abraham Lincoln was a goddamn badass? I didn't really realize that until
Is
this
that
year.
in the textbook?
Did you know that like back in the day when like Abraham Lincoln was a president, he was like more controversial as a president than Trump was.
Huh. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
remember because there was a huge
Yeah,
thing.
like people, that was back when dueling was a big thing. People would duel would how it worked. If somebody challenged you to a duel, if you accepted it because you got challenged, you got to choose what weapon you wanted to use, right?
Mhm.
Abraham Lincoln being like a smart ass, what he would do, he'd be like, all right, fine. People usually be like revolvers
Mhm.
or guns, like normal. Abraham Lincoln would be like, all right, I choose battle axes. One time he said dual battle axes. And he would say stupid shit like this all the time because, he's like, what, 7 foot wingspan of a goddamn dragon? Who's going to challenge someone with that wingspan to a battle axe contest?
Yeah.
So they challenge him, he'd be like, dual battle axes. They'd be like, never mind.
Yeah, I'm good.
One time someone challenged him to a duel and he said slapping contest. Yeah, there's some funny. Abraham Lincoln was a goddamn smart ass dude. Like the first oh dude, like the first battle of the Civil War, he was like, okay, okay, well, we can't attack first. That's a big thing about America. We're a bunch of assholes. We don't like attacking first. We like starting wars, but we know we can't attack first because then we started it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So be like, okay, well, we got to find a way to make them start it, but so we can still win. So Abraham Lincoln did this thing where he's like, okay, we're not going to shoot them. We're not going to shoot them. But because there's a bunch of Confederates outside the first fort where the first battle was fought, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got the Unions inside the fort, the Confederate outside the fort. The Confederates like, we're going to take the fort, and they're like, no, you're not. But we're like, okay, we can't shoot first, and they're not going to want to shoot first really either. So we just got to chill. So Abraham Lincoln was like, how can we get them to shoot first? Ooh, I got an idea. We're going to send a supply ship in them. But we're gonna tell them there's no weapons on it. We're just gonna send a supply ship in them. Obviously, as the Confederate, you can't let them send supplies to the fort, right? So they have to attack. So they're like, okay. This is just supplies, no guns, right? So they start sailing into the fort. Obviously, the Confederates like, well, we can't let them just give them food and stuff, or else we're sending out for no reason. They shoot the supply ship. People pull out a bunch of guns, and that's how the first fight started.
Oh
We're
my
a bunch of
gosh.
assholes. I'm telling you right now, dude. Abraham Lincoln was a bad ass,
Oh
dude. He
man,
was lit.
it's just smart.
Yeah,
He just didn't
it's
follow
fucked up, but it's
you
smart.
know, the battles, the rules of battle.
Andrew Jackson, he's hilarious. I don't know if you heard some stuff about him. Like,
Wasn't he like
you know,
what kind of whack?
he was controversial too. He was like the Trump of the back of the day.
He
He
just
was he was. I think he was cool, but he was also an asshole. I won't lie to you about
yeah, I
that.
thought
There
so.
was there was like one thing where okay, listen, I don't agree with this at all. I do think it is terrible that he said it, but I also do think it's kind of comical, right? The Trail of Tears, right?
Yeah,
Obviously, it's a serious thing. I don't agree with it. I think it was stupid. We shouldn't have did that. But
right.
he went to the Trail of Tears. He went to the Congress to say, okay, we need to do this Trail of Tears thing. We need to move all these Indians or Native Americans out of the South, or I think it was Georgia. I'm not sure
I think it
which
was
one. We need
Georgia.
to
He
move them
started
all
Georgia.
out. Yeah, we need to move them away. And his argument was, well, if we move them away, they won't have to fight us anymore, so we don't have to kill them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Congress was like, no, we can't take them from their homes. That's terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a quote from Andrew Jackson where he says, "Okay, the Congress made their decision. Let's see them enforce it. With what army?" And then he moved them out of their area, anyways. Dude, that's fucked up, bro. It's terrible. There's also,
Uh,
did you learn about the whole Calhoun thing?
Calhoun, maybe.
It was before the Civil War. It's when before the Civil War happened actually. It wasn't the Civil War wasn't the first time South Carolina tried to secede from the U.S. Right.
Right.
Luckily, Andrew Jackson put a stop to it. Right. But there's this quote, and the guy who's leading the whole secede in South Carolina was a guy named Calhoun,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a quote from Andrew Jackson where he says, Calhoun, if you secede from the Union, I will secede your head from your neck. Dude, what a god.
That's like the stuff.
That's all I'm gonna
Yeah,
say.
it's literally like
That's
the stuff
hard.
Trump
He
tweets.
was he was the original gangster, literally. Yeah, no, like
Imagine.
he'd say crazy stuff like that all the time. There was one time somebody tried to assassinate him, and the gun jammed, and then Andrew Jackson, when he like ran up to him, tried to shoot him, the gun jammed or malfunctioned, and then Andrew Jackson beat him to death with his cane.
I remember that. Yeah.
Dude, it's lit, dude. He was a badass, but he was also terrible.
Yeah. No, it's awful.
It's like he did good things for the U.S., but in the worst way possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
You know, Again, I don't want to get too political with this, but I did hear this. I heard this really funny quote about Trump.
Okay.
Someone said Trump, and it wasn't really. It can go for any president, right? Depending on what your stances are. But I'm gonna use Trump as an example. I'm not saying I don't like Trump. I'm not saying I like Trump. I just saw him. I just saw the meme and I thought it was
screw
funny.
the
Okay,
listeners. Just say.
listen. Okay, it said Trump is like a cigarette. Nicotine part of him is good, but the way you get the nicotine is bad. I don't know if that makes any sense. You might have to cut that because I just butchered it, but it's pretty funny, dude. It's pretty fucking funny. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, are we gonna wrap this thing up or what? I think we made our points about quarantine and a bunch of random other shit.
It's about quarantine.
And the first half, and then you fucked up Discord.
I didn't touch the Discord. I couldn't hear you. Whatever. Yeah, you're right.
All right, I say we wrap this thing up.
All right.
Thank you guys. Are you gonna do it? You want to do it? You want me to do it?
You got it.
Hey, thank you guys for listening to a Wannabe's podcast so much. Be
Hmm.
sure to tune into the next one, whatever the fuck we decide we're gonna post it. Probably my fault if we don't.
Right.
You can check us out on YouTube, SoundCloud, and I think that's it right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, YouTube and SoundCloud at a Wannabes
Yep.
podcast,
Yep.
possessive for the Wannabes. And yeah, we should be soon. I think we're going to start doing these more, I guess, diligently and schedulely.
We'll see
So
if we can. We'll try.
when we decide to do that, we'll let you guys know what the schedule will be. So be sure to tune in every whenever we fucking post it. And I hope you guys enjoyed. It was a lot of fun. Glad that me and Jenna got to sit down and talk, and you guys get to listen to our conversation.
Yep. Yep.
All right,
All right.
peace out, boys.